Hello, everyone. Hello,
Hello,
Saluta.
everyone.
Hello,
Hello,
Ardeshir.
Hanan.
Yeah, please, can you leave in the chat where you're from to get to know you? Here we are from Seattle, from Vancouver, from San Francisco, sending you a lot of positive vibes. So I just want to introduce the goal of this episode. Today, we're going to learn how to turn depression, anxiety, or burnout into an inner resource to evolve as a human being and as a leader. And what happens is that sometimes we often underestimate their impact on our mental health, but it is real and it can be healed. And one of the statistics shared with us from Ardeshir is that over 50% of leaders today and high achievers struggle with depression, anxiety, stress, and burnout. And the problem is that the majority are not even aware of that. That's why Ardeshir, for him, mental health is a big priority, and that's why he's among us today. For the people who don't know Ardeshir, he's a psychologist, business transformation leader, researcher, and leadership coach. Please, Ardeshir, thank you for accepting our invite today, and we would love to know more about you and how did you get on this path of mental health.
Great, thank you. Thank you for inviting me, your colleagues, and then for audience joining us. Just seeing who accepted the meeting, it seems we have folks from around the world, and so an honor to be with you here. And three things I'd like to share with you and invite you to consider, and then I will talk about myself. One is that amongst high achievers, executives, leaders across different industries, depression and anxiety are at a much higher level than general population. Between the studies, either between 50 to 80%. This is before pandemic. So I want to talk about why is that? And then how do you notice that? Number two, depression and anxiety can be healed, done out of our lives. The way we are doing therapy these days, starting from our grandfather of therapy, Sigmund Freud, we've been trying to make us feel less bad, reduce the symptoms. Once we know what depression and anxieties are, we can actually heal them at the source, and instead of dealing with problems, actually shift the energy. Number three, what heals depression is different than what heals anxiety. They are very different experiences. They lodge in our bodies differences. The way to think about anxiety about the state of our being, how we are as a person in our bodies. Depression is the state of our becoming of life. One is about how we are and what we become. How you heal them, they are very different. They're yin and yang, but they feel very different in the body. So about me, I didn't go graduate school to do this work. In fact, I didn't want to do this work at all. So I tried to avoid it. So I went to graduate school to become a psychologist, and I was a curious Georgia student. And my dissertation doctoral program, I got triple majors, multiple masters. Psychoanalysis, I did my clinical training, Bellevue Psychiatric Hospital in New York City, organizational behavior and research and statistics, and then moved to the corporate environment and always been mystified and obsessed with answering two life questions. One is that, why am I depressed? By the time I became an adult, I learned that I'm depressed, and mom and dad, siblings, they were all dealing with depression. And in high performance, people with a smile on their faces, you don't see depression. It's almost subterranean. It's behind the scenes. And why am I depressed, and why does it take so long to heal depression? I've been to 7 psychologists over the years and a psychiatrist, medication, and depression is like a gum, stuck to your shoes. It's keep coming back because it was all about healing the symptoms. And about 10 years ago, in fact, in August of 2012, I was praying for death. I was at this stage that I felt I cannot live like that. I was dead inside. And yet outside, I was being promoted to become a vice president, doing well. When I tell people I'm depressed, it's, no, you had a bad day, take a vacation, go have fun, go play golf. And I had given up. And it was through that time I started to ask a different question. What is depression? How do you heal it? And I ended up coming to you for you here. So let me start to answer those three questions. And I invite you, Hannah and Estolota and the others ask questions. So in high performers, there's a misunderstanding about resiliency. We think if you're resilient, you're not anxious and depressed. They have nothing to do with each other. People who are very high performers, they are designed to be great problem solvers, very action oriented. You solve things, you're high energy. And so that's about getting things done. You're really a major doing creative person. Depression and anxiety are different internal experiences. So again, that's what to consider. And in high performance, given the nature of the work, we are trained that if you have emotions that they don't feel right, you bury it. You don't talk about it. It's a sign of weakness. What we know, in addition, what you suppress here, you express here. So as I started to be promoted, work with executive board members, CEOs, and so on, I would travel with them. I would work with them, and I would tell them every now and then, what's that in your purse, in your briefcase? A lot of medications, a lot of pills, and they were basically falling three categories: for their stomach, gastrointestinal, cardiovascular, or body pains. Emotions we don't feel, we suppress, we feel in our bodies. In healthcare is a known fact. Every day, adult primary care, up to 1/3 of patients are related to depression and anxiety. There are no physical ailment, and people keep going to doctors for getting medications. So I would see that leaders struggle with that. Women, we know also struggle more with gastrointestinal, their stomach. This is the center of our safety. That's where anxiety resides. For men, it's more cardiovascular. This is the center of fight or flight and center of protection. I'm going to the polyvagal nervous system. So part of the work we want to do amongst ourselves and with our clients, with our friends, families, about leverage body sensation, body experiencing to know, is this person feeling right? And bringing that out to the open. Number one. Number two, why is it so hard to heal depression and anxiety? There is a major movement in psychotherapy that is started about 15 years or so ago, is coming out, and that we think about very anxious or depressed, we put our head down and says, oh, life sucks, this hurts. We think that is happening here. What we know, emotions are in body-based. When we are anxious, our brain literally goes to a loop, getting analyzing, getting very active. It's called monkey brain, a brain that never shuts down. And what we do, we start to go on LinkedIn and says 10 ways to reduce your anxiety, 10 ways to have a better attention span, and here's an app for you, and so on. Folks, don't do that. Don't read those lists. Those are byproduct of a monkey brain. When we are in a state of anxious and our brain is really overloaded, an anxious brain cannot heal itself. It's the body. When we settle in our body, it's the body that is really needs to calm the brain down. So when somebody is really anxious, it means they are not into their bodies. So there are three things that are going on here. If you think about medieval castles, that there are three perimeter walls that they protect us. One is we need to be in our bodies, still into our breathing, into heart rate, heartbeat, and seeing where I am, or five senses. Number two, a sense of connection to myself, to my pet, to my loved one, to the environment, that I feel connected. Third one, sense of agency, that I'm in control of my moment. of my decisions, of my environment, about what's around me, what's with me. Once we have presence, connection, and agency, our perimeters of protection is built up. So the psychotherapy I do these days and coaching with leaders and executives, when I start, the very first thing I do before we dive into their let's help you and let's get a conversation, I will help them to build those three perimeters, settle into yourself, presence, connection, and agency. Once the person is settled, then in that part, you can go to the space of healing. Once you do that, the healing process, psychotherapy, it never made sense to me why people go to therapy weeks after weeks, sometimes several years. Once you do this in matter of 5 to 10 sessions, people are done working with anxiety, phobia, depression, various back problem, ADHD. It goes a lot faster. Same thing with coaching. Never made sense to me. Why does it take 6 months, once a week, meeting with a leader to help them through the coaching process? Again, coaching was designed based upon a thinking brain. Learning happens in the body. Brain follows the body. So as you build the body, settling into your agency, your presence, connection, and agency, we learn better. Our learning goes deeper, faster, and more sustainable. Let me bring you to what's the essence of depression.
Yeah.
This is
This is what
something.
I wanted to ask you, and I'm sorry that I'm interrupting you because you said something really interesting at the beginning, that there
Please.
is a difference between
Yes.
depression and anxiety. And
Yes.
we're all used to speaking about depression and anxiety together, all together. And I would really love to understand from your perspective the difference between the two of them. Because
Thank you.
I myself, and I shared yesterday in a post that last week I had an anxiety attack that really ate me up and ate my whole day. And I come from a background in which my mom had a chronic depression. She's actually with suicidal tendencies and really bad stuff. So this thing really scared me. So I'd really love to understand what is the difference between what I'm going through when I'm going through an anxiety attack and what my mom was going through, for example. And I know that many people in our audience who are all high achievers here, that's why they're watching us on LinkedIn and on YouTube as well, to be able to identify what are we dealing with actually, right? Am I anxious or am I depressed?
Good. Thank you. Steluda, thank you. I saw your post yesterday. It broke my heart. I was going to write you, say, let's talk, as a friend. And, so
Yes.
if you're anxious and it could be feel very bad, you feel out of balance. That what it means that we are entering hypervigilant state. There's a clinical term that say we are dysregulated. It means our brain and our body metaphorically are disconnected. We are not in our bodies anymore. When that happens, brain takes off, and just like a computer trying to figure out the hourglass, brain trying to scan that. So basically, neurologically, symbolically, we are broken up. We are not in our bodies anymore. The way that I do this work, people who come to me with really serious anxiety that goes a long period of time, we bring them to their sense of presence, which, we don't have time to do that, but there's a process. You go to sense of presence, feeling your sense of connection, feeling your sense of agency. And you do this back to back in a surrounding of guided meditation, guided mindfulness. When you do that, once you notice, your body calms down. In real time, you settle into your body yourself. So in those moments, you or the person who's working become anxious again, and I will teach them as you're sitting there, settle into yourself with your breathing, pendulate back to being present again. So being very anxious means our nervous system is hypervigilant and needs to settle down. Presence, connection, agency, and we become whole again. And when you do that, what is really interesting, monkey brain suddenly disappears. We become whole. And people who do this work, and it's really beautiful, you see that their face change, their pupils open up. In fact, sometimes they're starting to say, I feel tingling in my head, basically means body feels great. So that takes care of the anxiety. Depression. What I learned, depression is not an illness, it's an expression. And I spent hundreds and hundreds of working with patients, with leaders, when they were saying, I'm depressed, I'm feeling blue, I'm feeling sad. Tell me more. What is it you're seeing? What really happens when we get whacked by life? Things happen. Human being, we all have a journey of growth to our lifetime. When we get traumatized, bad boss, bad marriage, financial situation, getting laid off, our journey of development get disrupted, gets derailed, put on hold. We humans, from the time of birth to death, we grow and develop along certain predictable, noticeable, measurable emotional growth, emotional needs, which exists. This knowledge existed throughout the mankind, all the way to Greek philosophers, and I wrote about it. There are seven basic needs: sense of I belong, sense of connection, sense of love, sense of unity. This is attachment bond from the birth. Sense of I matter, that there is a sense of feeling of being dignity, respect, that you matter to us, to a tribe, to a group, to a family, to work. I make, no matter what you do, anywhere, uptown you live, you or you downtown, what you do matters. That's the reason in the world of work, a lot of depression and anxiety, people say, I hate this work, but I need the paycheck. There's a sense of I'm boundless. We are lion and lionesses in the Serengeti. My colleague Laura Putin says that we were born to move, told to sit. We are designed to move. When we sit, we don't realize that actually anxiety hormones, cortisol, adrenaline build in our body. That we are the creature of movement. The way we're sitting right now, people sitting actually is bad for us. We are not designed like that. I'm complete. Many of us, including for me for many years, carried the past shames, guilt, and past traumas. What we know from the science today, our body remembers past experiences, but our body doesn't realize it happened back then. If there are traumas in our body things happening right now, so we can work to resolve it. Then there's I am. It's your sense of gravitas, confidence, and lastly, what you showed, I saw, that was Maya Angelou, that we all have a story. So once you step into those at the tissue level and trying to design a life around that, you will wake up, my friends. One day, depression is not there. You're not depressed, you're pissed. You don't want to waste time anymore. You
That's
want to go,
awesome.
you want to go find your life. Ask
Yeah.
a question, please.
Yeah, well, this is what I was going to tell you. We will stop a little bit and see the questions. Yeah, one of our guests ask if he can ask a question. Of course, we're here for questions and for answering your questions. Please feel free to ask any questions you have. Well, Ardeshir, this is something you shared with me, not necessarily in this episode, but I would love to share it with the audience. One of the things you said, and that you can be resilient and still be depressed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, can you share more so that people they can understand the difference and how they can identify if they're really, even if they're resilient, they can overcome this depression, and maybe you can talk about the symptoms or anything.
Exactly. Thank you. This is a very great question. And the part of that, really what resilience means, that you have a very high ability to continuously get things done, figure things out, solve things. You have amazing energy. You have amazing capability, intellectual, physical, emotional way of getting things done. It's not about getting things done, about solving the right problem. Being anxious, it means that we are feeling emotional energy in our bodies, that our brain and body's sensation and body experiences are disconnected. We are not one person. We are not whole. We become a thinking machine, but we are not being fully being human beings. Our entire work right now, society, is all focused on knowledge, learning, memorizing, our social media. We are experiencing creatures. When we are not in our bodies, our brain, these wonderful parts of our being, really becomes a computer that just goes in process and trying to figure it out. When you're centered in your entire being, breathing, connection, and presence and agency, that solves the anxiety part. So the whole resiliency misses that. And then going to the depression, depression has a long list of symptoms: sleep, interest, feeling empty, sad, and so on, the diet. Depression, those are symptoms. Depression is about life unfulfilled, life held back, not really being alive based upon your own life trajectory. Unless you know what you're solving, you can be running, do a lot of things, and be very depressed. So, Hannah, you know me, I run marathons. I swim in San Francisco Bay, open water and cold water, and I do crazy things. And I was very depressed. It had nothing to do with being like that. It's about, are you living a life of purpose, fulfillment, based upon your destiny, based upon your inner gift. So resiliency needs to be applied to solving the right emotional and life experiences. Then you're good.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for providing details about this. Let's see some comments on the platform. I'm looking for questions. Good question. Is it in the family then if one or two had it?
So if I understand the question, good is in the family, Jen. So this is about if I'm depressed and anxious, my family has it. If I'm does it mean that I have it with that? This is a part people in my field get all tripped over. That yes, there is a gene part, but emotional experiences are learned experiences. So there are folks who come to me talk about generational family traumas, generational anxiety, depression, past. So
I
I want
think,
go
yeah,
ahead.
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. No, I mean, I was thinking about the practice that you will share with our audience, and because of the restricted time, maybe we can. This can be an added value to all of us. So can we maybe start by this full body presence exercise, which can also help in centering
Do we
and
have time for that? Can we do that?
yes, yes,
I think we
sure.
can just make sure, guys, if you're watching us while driving or anything like that, that you're, you pull to the side and you're safe. Because if you're doing the type of exercise that I usually do, because I'm a yoga and meditation and mindfulness teacher, right? And I take people through body scans. I take them. That's one of the ways I learned to deal with my own anxiety is to center myself, to feel my body. That's actually how I fall asleep at night. Because of my anxiety, it helps me put myself to sleep. So guys, if you're driving or if you're doing something that requires your attention, stop that, go into a safe place, and let's allow Ardeshir to take us through this centering exercise so that you can feel firsthand how it is when you're in body, when you're in your full presence, right?
Thank you. Thank you. That question, the generational trauma gene, actually, we can solve it by that whole centering, by the work today. I mean, the number one. And number two, the emotional bill of rights that I talked about, that my colleagues, they can put it in a link to my ebook so you can see what I'm talking about, the science behind it. And that will be the genesis of my book that will come out later this year. So I invite you to settle wherever you are in the world, in any surrounding. For us to settle, we don't need anything except sit in a place that you can sit with your body in an erect position and imagine yourself that you are a mass of warm, joyful, and glowing lava, and let your body settle. Let your body settle. You may keep your eyes open, keep them closed as you please. And notice your body settling against any surrounding that you're in right now. Feel your feet on the ground and notice your entire body, head to toe, the entire back of your body, the entire front of your body, left side of your body, and right side of your body. Just notice. Notice your entire you. There could be sensations, could be aches, could be nudges, could be tingling, anything you're just noticing and welcoming. Could be sensations inside your body, in the surface of your body. You're just noticing. Notice your breath. You don't have to do anything. Your breath knows what to do. In fact, there's a misunderstanding that if we breathe deeper, we take more oxygen and it's good for our body. That is not correct. Your body knows at any moment how much your lungs to expand and how much oxygen to take. All of our body needs is for us to settling and letting our body do its magic. Our body knows what to do. So all you have to do, just notice your beautiful lungs doing their magic, bringing energy, bringing air, bringing oxygen to your inner being. Notice one cycle of breathing, how your in-breath starts, and notice your entire cycle of in-breathing when it stops. And you decide, your body decide when you want to start to exhale. Notice when your exhale starts, the entire cycle of exhale, all the way to it finishes. As you're doing this at your own pace, notice the focal point of your breathing. Sometimes people say, I can feel my breathing, but the air that it goes against my nostrils, against my lips. Notice my lungs or belly rise and fall. Whatever it is, keep your attention on that focal point of your breathing. I invite you to let your brain wander, to notice your breathing. Brain can go here and there, anywhere. Don't worry about it. By you focusing on your breathing, brain will come back. With your next inhale, in the space between inhale and exhale, notice your heartbeat. Notice your heartbeat. And sometimes when we settle, we can feel literally the blood being pumped through our organs. We feel a gush of energy. We feel a sensation. You're just noticing. You're just noticing. Next one, as you're noticing your heartbeat, Notice your lungs as well. That your heart and lungs, they always work in synchrony. There's a rhythm that the yogis, Sufis, Buddhists, and American Indian, they talk about this is the rhythm of life. This is the rhythm that exists from the time you're born to the time we leave this earth. And there are those who believe, and I believe that this is the rhythm of universe. Just this is the rhythm of your life, of your heart and your lungs together. Bring your attention to your skin as you're sitting right now, whether exposed or enclosed. What are you sensing? You're just noticing. Notice any sounds from inside your body, against your body, in this space you're in, outside, a dog barking, airplane, a car, tree leaves. Notice all the sounds around you. Notice any taste in your mouth from the food or liquid you had earlier. Notice any sense. Notice any sensation in your eyes, whether your eyes closed or looking. How are your eyes feeling? Noticing them. And letting your body settle, feeling all those senses. Being with your breath, with your heartbeat, and with your lungs. If you can see me, bring your right hand under your left armpit and your left hand holding your right shoulder. You're hugging yourself. Within your arms, this is the container, the surrounding of your body. This is where your magic happens. This is where your universe is. As you're sitting, imagine a presence next to you of the past, a loved one. Could be a person, could be a pet, could be a whimsical story figure, somebody you have a sense of connection. Somebody could be from present or could be in the future. A being that brings you love, brings you seeing, sheltering, and safety. Imagine that being next to you and you're embracing. And your tissues, your body, your heart feel seen, feel connected, feel loved. Lastly, bring your attention to you. I invite you to think right now, as you are, that you are the captain of your life. You're the owner of your soul. What are one or two or three things you like to do just for you in this very moment? That it's good for you, pleases you, it's just for you. Some people rub their cheek They lean back, they stretch, or say, Ardeshir, wait, I need to go get a glass of beer, or anything you like to do. I invite you to do that. And another thing after that, think about your time after our time, this moment together. Your actions are series of decisions based upon what is good for you. What we did today, beginning was our presence, body settling, sense of connection, sense of agency. Once we do that, it gets easier, can be on demand. And once you notice, and I hope you notice, suddenly monkey brain calms down, we become one. We go from knowledge to knowing, your intuition comes in. Your contextual awareness comes in. You become fuller. You become almost like if you've seen Bruce Lee video, many times when we watch him, we watch his hands, watch his feet. He's very grounded. So once you do these exercises, you become grounded. You can handle any hurricane coming your way. Work, life, family, finances, etc., etc. You're grounded. You can do things, jujitsu, but you're grounded. This is about
Yeah.
you bring your power. So let me stop and turn it to you, my colleagues.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ardeshir, for this session. I mean, I really enjoy it. I always enjoy these meditative practices. It amazes me to see how each one of us handle depression or anxiety. In my life, I experience extreme cases of anxiety and depression. And I didn't have mindfulness at that moment or coaching or anything of that. And I had to dive into myself and find my inner resources. And maybe sometimes only my instinct guided me. And I have this question that I always ask myself, and I hope people who are feeling a little bit depressed or anxious, what being depressed and anxious, is it gonna help me really? I always ask this question. And of course, the answer is no, because I see that being anxious and depressed is maybe gonna just impact other parts of my body or my health, and maybe that will worsen even my situation. And so very often I try to get out from my head and do something different and keep telling myself that I cannot change the past, but I can change the future. So please, if you are in a lot in your head, try to do something about it. Reach out to someone who can help you. Raise optimism, because there is always a solution. Focus on the solution, and then you will see more solutions coming. Ardeshir, I would like also to thank you for sharing the bill of emotional rights that we're going to share with our audience. I would like you briefly, if you can, share how people can benefit from the content that you shared, how they can use the bill of emotional rights. This is really very interesting.
Thank you. Thank you. A couple things. I love, Hanan, what you mentioned, that every day I have conversation with colleagues that they goes like that. I'm ADHD, therefore I am who I am. I'm depressed, therefore I am who I am. And in fact, the question earlier, it's in my family gene. Depression, anxiety, mental illness, these are not afflictions. These are not designed in us. These are basically, I tell people, if you're depressed, anxious, what it means, the life you live has passed its expiration date. There's a different life waiting for you. Your anxiety, depression is you to you saying, wake up, live your life. So don't see it as affliction. We need to suffer. Suffering is optional. Suffering is optional. We should not suffer. The Bill of Emotional Rights. When we are depressed, and I will share this again in my book that's coming up, that when we are depressed, is along those dimensions, those 7 dimensions. This is not a competency modeling state, I'm high and low. It's about reading those Bill of Rights, setting in yourself and see, do you feel a sense of connection right now? Do you feel that you're loved? You have unity, a place that people love you and you love them? Or do you need to fight to be loved, to be seen, to get the work you want? Or do you feel a sense of your story? 7 billion people, 7 billion story. Is it your story? Do you know it? Are you living based upon your story? Your story, if you don't say it, you will be clinically depressed. You will be suicidal. Your story is your gift to the world. It's your job to bring that to the world. And I'm complete, I matter, I'm boundless. Once you go there, you experience that and get a sense, where do I go with that? And usually, Bill of Right, at this stage of our life, anywhere between 30 to 50, there's one that calls you. It's almost like that. Do this is waiting for you. One that torments you. Oh no, it's that again. Oh, it sucks. It kills me. I need to do something. And one stabilizes you. For me, ISOR calls me. This work that I do, folks, I'm born to do this work. I know it. I had to go get the graduate degrees, all of that, and feel so much pain to do this. But my family stabilizes me. And the work is that write my book, bring it out. So play with those beloved rights. Once you do that and experience that, you will see your depression shifts. Depression is about you doing your life work, your emotional internal work. I wish you the best. If you're depressed, anxious, don't. I don't know how to say it, but we should. Depression, anxiety, these are not mental illness. These are not evolutionary. Yet it has become part of our lives as it's life. No, no, it's not evolutionary. We need to change our equation.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. And I think Hanan will be sharing with you guys in the comments after we finish with the live, the link where you can download the Bill of Rights. And as you are walking us through it, I think we can use it. My understanding is that we can use it as a guide, right? Just go through those questions. Actually, look at them as questions. They're affirmations,
That's right.
but you can look at them as questions and work through each of them individually and observe, where is it that you need to be doing some more work? Where is it that you're missing something? What is the part, or what are the parts in your life that you feel are not on point, and start working on that. Now, uh, thank you so much for everything that you've shared with us. It is so valuable for everyone. And we have here Khaled, who says that the exercise was amazing. You are correct waking up. I have always got on my bike, and I felt when I felt down or depressed. So this feeling of embodiment, it's really important to be able to work through everything. And we have a saying, even in our business coaching, right? That action cures anxiety, right? Even when we coach people in business, we tell them that you need to get out of your head and into your body and move your body. And even if it's not an embodiment in the sense that you taught us here and that I guide people through when I teach meditation and I teach yoga, it's still a way of getting out of your head and moving into your body and changing the energy that is stuck, the anxious energy that you're stuck in, right? So before we go, Hanane was acknowledging some of you guys here. Thank you, Khaled. Thank you, Rolando from Seattle. Thank you, Randy from Austin. Mohamed for Khartoum, Sudan. From Morocco, we have Nureddin. We have Mitra from San Francisco. We have Harbajan. We have Saad from Morocco. Amin from Morocco. Sukaina. We have people from all over the world. We have Diana from Prague. We have Osama from Brussels, Hema from India, Indros from United Arab Emirates, David
Patient, oh
from
my
San Francisco. It's we are so grateful for having you guys here. Can you please share with our audience, Ardeshir, where can people find you and where can they find your work? Just before we
thank
log
you.
off.
Yeah, thank you. And then feel free to reach out to me. By you coming to me, asking me questions, you help me do my life work. So you can find me on LinkedIn or my website. Human Work Studio, www.humanworkstudio.com. And I'm here to disrupt how we think about depression and how do we heal depression and anxiety. I'm a psychologist, and I tell people psychology should not be trusted with psychologists. They screw it up. Sorry about my language. We just go right after fixing symptoms. And read about poetry, writers, artists. So let's go there.
Ardeshir, can you quickly tell people how provide some tips to generate momentum, like to keep
Yes,
going with the
yes,
life
yes,
challenges?
definitely. Definitely. So several things. Focus on any moment, be in your body, the exercise, any version of that presence, connection, and agency. Once we do that, we calm down. Very practical. And do that quickly when you're driving, waiting in line for ice cream, and so on. When your brain gets really overloaded, presence, connection, agency. Number two, focus on the bill of right. Get to know them in any way that makes sense for you. Feel that, am I feeling fulfilled? Am I attuned to what really is inside me, my life story? And what is one thing I want to do? If there's one thing that I want to share in terms of that makes a difference, I saw the Maya Angelou quote, there's no greater agony than
Yes,
bearing an untold story inside you.
I love that quote.
What is your story, dear friend, from anywhere in the world? You all are unique. You have a story. You have a story. What is your story? What is one thing you can do today? Say, I'm living my life today, wherever I am, whatever I do based on my story. That will save you. That will shift your energy.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for this wonderful episode. And stay with us, don't leave. And thank you to our guests from all over the world. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for supporting us on this platform. We couldn't be here without you. So yeah, and
Yes, please connect with us. Follow us here on LinkedIn. Follow our channel on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to subscribe also. Our podcast is now live also on all major podcasting platforms. You can listen to whatever we shared with you today on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, guys. So thank you so much for being here. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Reach out to Ardeshir, and stay safe until next week. Stay safe, stay well, take care of everything going on in your head by doing the exercises and using the key points that I shared with you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Stay well.